Welcome back, Forging friends. We are starting a new adventure today into Dark Tidings. This is the set that I have actually the fewest amount of personal decks for. I didn't really get too much into this set. I haven't really found a deck that I'm super excited about yet, so I'm really excited to see what I pull from this. Hopefully I find a good deck that'll be fun to play. So let's go ahead and rip this open, and we'll open up our first deck of the box. Got the plastic off. Gonna set this up. Now I'm gonna have to do things a little bit differently. With this box because these packs are very much unlike, very different compared to the Mass Mutation boxes. We have little packs now, so it's gonna take some practice. Bear with me. We've got Saurians, Unfathomable, the new house. Yeah, first time in this game, and Shadows, and what? We have an evil twin to start off. So that's the gimmick of this set, the evil twins, and we have one right away to show it off. It's Liberalis of Fireroot's evil twin. And the evil twins all have this black background, really, really cool. This one's really symmetrical. I like the symmetrical ones. Just got these like feathery arms and all these flames in the top. Really cool looking Archon and 3 good houses. Let's make this first deck a good one. Let's see what we got. All right. Kind of amazing we got an evil twin right at the beginning of the box. I'm kind of happy about that. Dropping down the Archon card, we're starting with, oh yeah, the Tide card. I'm going to get used to that too. Dropping down the Tide card as well. We're starting with Unfathomable. We have the action card, Sink or Swim. Play, choose one. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand, or exhaust a creature and each of its neighbors. So that's what Unfathomable is all about. They're taking the Dis's spot here, and they're disrupting creatures, disrupting board states is a lot of what Unfathomable does. So that'll be a useful card. We got 2 of those. Very cool. We've got the Photic Raider, a 2-power creature with play, capture 2 amber, and while the tide is high, Photic Raider gets +4 power. So he can get real powerful, and he captures a couple amber too. Very nice. Got 2 of him, and this one's got an enhanced capture pip too, so you can get capture 3 actually. We've got the Hookmaster, a 4-power 1-armor creature. Fight, if the tide is high, your opponent loses 2 amber when he fights. Wow. If your opponent has a lot of creatures elusive, that could be insane. I mean, very cool. And we got 2 of him. Nice. We've got Brain Drain, an action card with an amber pip. Play, look at your opponent's hand, choose a card from it to put on top of their deck. Some great disruption. Always love cards that give us an insight into our opponent's strategy. We got Spark Fist, a 2-power creature with Skirmish and Fight. Stun and exhaust the creature Spark Fist fights. Very cool. Very good way to spread some stun around. Can fight, got Skirmish. Solid creature. We got Sleep with the Fishes, an action card with an amber pip. Play, destroy each exhausted creature, and that's one of the great things about Unfathomable. They really like to exhaust things. So, everything we can do to exhaust our opponent's creatures, and then play this. Obviously, we don't want to play this when we have exhausted creatures, but it could potentially be a board wipe depending on what else we have in here. Very cool. We got the Abyssal Zealot, a 4-power creature with, after you raise the tide, capture 2 amber, and after your opponent raises the tide, move 2 amber from Abyssal Zealot to the common supply. So that's a constant kind of funnel of your opponent's amber. This is a big target to take care of for sure. We've got the rare action card Thalassophobia, amber when you play it, and play, discard the top 10 cards of your opponent's deck. Wow, that could either be great or terrible for them, honestly, but they're losing 10 cards. So if they have a specific combo piece they're looking for, that's a huge amount of disruption. That's an amazing card. I've never seen that before. Very cool. We have the Evil Twin, Glint Spite, Guilt Spine Netcaster, a 2-power creature. It enhanced 2 capture pips. And when it reaps, you ready and use a friendly non-Aquan creature. So it can use creatures off-house. This is going to be very useful. Another big target. Moving on to Shadows, we have Shoulder Id, a 6-power creature with Taunt, and it cannot fight. And when it would deal damage, deal when it's dead. Great to have Taunt creatures. We had a couple in here we want to protect. Obviously, this Abyssal Zealot, we want to protect him quite a bit. So having Taunt guys is going to be great. Very excited about that. We have Mug, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, move 1 Amber from a creature to your pool, deal 2 damage to that creature. Typical Shadows card, always good to have that. Kerwallop is an action card with a Capture Pip, an Enhanced Capture Pip. Play, deal 1 damage to each creature, gain 1 Amber for each creature destroyed this way. Oh, wow. If your opponent's playing a bunch of 1-power creatures, or if we have a bunch of 1-power creatures we've already used their effects for, we could get a lot of value off of this. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Francis the Economist, a 3-power creature with Skirmish and Fight. Each player gains an Amber. We've seen that one before. Cement Shoes, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, deal 2 damage to a creature. If this damage destroys that creature, raise the tide. It's a free tide raise. Those are great cards. You got 2 of those. Always like to raise the tide for free. One of my least favorite things. The reason I haven't gotten to Dark Tidings too much was because I didn't really like paying chains for the tide. But, you know, anytime you can do that for free, always great. Booby Trap, it's an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, deal 4 damage to a creature that is not on a flank with 2 damage splash. Great damaging card. Blatant Thievery is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, enrage an enemy creature and move all Amber from that creature to your pool. Oh, wow, that's great against Saurians. That's a very anti-Saurian card. Oh, man. You imagine like a Crassosaurus or something with a bunch of Amber on it. That could be insane. Mastermindy, a rare 2-power creature with elusive, and at the end of your turn, put a scheme counter on Mastermindy. As an action, remove each scheme counter from Mastermindy and steal 1 Amber for each scheme counter removed this way. So he's another one that we really want to protect. He basically got a big target on his back the minute you put him out there. I mean, at the most, I think with as much destruction as out there on the, usually on the board, unless your opponent's really far behind, they're going to be targeting this guy right away. So he'll need to be next to a taunt creature, ideally warded. But there might be only so much you can do in this deck. We'll see. Sea Urchin, it's a evil twin Sea Urchin. 1-power creature with play, capture 2 Amber. If the tide is high, you steal 2 Amber instead. Wow, that's a really good one. So you get value off of it no matter what. Man, yeah, that's pretty cool. The tide mechanics, very powerful. Very, very powerful. We got 2 of him. Oh my gosh, that's really cool. We got the evil twin, 2-power, 1-eyed Willa creature. 2-power, like I said, elusive and skirmish, and fight. If the tide is high, your opponent loses 2 Amber. We have a couple of ways to fight and make our opponent lose Amber as well, so that's a lot of value. Pretty cool. Going to Saurians, we have the action card Reach Advantage, Amber when you play it, and play if the tide is high, a friendly creature captures 3 Amber, otherwise raise the tide. Again, it's like it has 2 functions. I like seeing these multi-function cards. They're very versatile. Ostracize is the action card. Lose 1 Amber if you do purge a creature. 1 Amber might be huge, purging a creature that's got a bunch of Amber on them. Very cool. Decadence, a action card with play. Choose 1, exalt ready, and use a friendly creature, or move 1 Amber from a creature to another creature. So this is pretty cool. We can exalt ready and use one of our own creatures. We can move Amber from one of our creatures to our opponent's creatures. And because we have Saurians in our own deck, there's that card that lets us pull all the Amber off of a creature. We could build up our own Saurian creature with a bunch of Amber, and when he's about to die, pull all that Amber off of him and get a bunch of value. That's pretty cool. Altruist Rostrum is an artifact, and as an action, move 1 Amber from a creature to another creature. Pretty nice. Get some free Amber that way. Trojan Sauropod is an artifact with an Amber Pip. It enters play under your opponent's control, and they can, as an Omni, gain 3 Amber. And then me, as the person who played the card, reveals their hand and puts each creature from it into play ready, then refills their hand as if it were the draw card step, and it's destroyed. So you're basically trading 3 Amber for the ability to play every creature from your hand ready. I don't know if I like this card very much. Unless the creatures you play are very, very, very good, and maybe they have amazing play effects that offset that 3 Amber in some way, I don't think this is a positive, but there might be a good play around it. I haven't seen that yet. Berry Riches is an action card with play. If the tide is high, move 1 Amber from each creature to its controller's pool, otherwise raise the tide. Ooh, okay, so that wouldn't require some setup, but that's pretty cool. We have the Evil Twin Undagnathus, a 12-power creature, and while the tide is low, double all damage dealt to him. But while it's high, he can just be a 12-power beater that can survive for quite a long time, it seems like. Very nice. And we had 2 of him. That's pretty cool. A lot of really cool. Oh, wow, 3 of him. That's insane. Wow. A lot of very high-powered creatures in this deck. This deck is very good at fighting and surviving. This is a very high-quality creature deck. We got the other Evil Twin, Magistra Vita, a 5 power creature. Play fight, you may exalt a friendly non-soaring creature if you do fight with it. So again, you can fight with a creature off house. Very good to see that. We've got the Lapisaurus, a evil twin 3 power creature with skirmish and fight, exalt the creature he fights. Very good fight effects in this deck. We got the evil twin Censor Philo, a 5 power creature, and play, deal 5 damage to a creature with amber on it. And that's the last card. Wow. I mean, this is the first deck, but already I'm seeing a lot more just direct value in a lot of the cards here than I was in the previous box. But you know what? Let me go ahead and we'll head to the desktop and get the counts, and we'll see what this deck looks like. So I'll be right back. All right, welcome back to my desktop. As you see, we have the deck here in front of us. Instead of doing all the counts in person, I've decided for this box to just kind of change things up a little bit. I've already done the counts. I'm just going to talk through the deck a little bit. That'll speed things up, I think, and make things more watchable for everyone. So let me know if you like this format. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, so this deck, you can probably see the counts here up on the left side. We have 17 creatures. It's not too many, not too little. Pretty good, solid amount of creatures. A lot of really good quality creatures, too. We've got 15 amber on the cards. And for Blatant Thievery in particular, even though this card has, a lot of potential, it can potentially get, a whole bunch of amber. I thought just for consistency's sake, I'm going to say it can get an extra amber off of that. At least most of the time, it'll get at least 1 amber, right? So I'll count that as 2 total amber on that one. But yeah, with that in mind, 15 amber on the cards with potentials of more, which is pretty solid. I like to see that. And then for amber control, we have 9.5. I have that the Mastermindy card. I wanted to count that as half because he's such a target, right? You put him out there at the end of your turn, he gets a scheme counter, and then you can only use the effect of him on your next turn if you call shadows again, right? So there's going to be a lot of times you'll put him out there, your opponent will just throw a little bit of damage his way and he'll die. So I only put him as half for amber control. But otherwise, if he gets running, then he could steal a whole bunch. So it's great to have more things for your opponent to worry about. So 9.5 for amber control is pretty solid. As we see with most decks, there's no artifact control in here, which could be a disadvantage. Keep that in mind. For creature control, we have 12 cards that either damage or destroy creatures. A lot of different ways of doing that too, which is great to see. I mean, there's so many, especially in Dark Tidings, there's so many high value creatures that being able to do a little bit of damage, 2 damage, or even where is it? The Sleep with the Fishes, the board wipe could be fantastic, especially since with the Sleep with the Fishes, we have we have 2 Sleep with the Fishes, and we have we have 1 Sleep with the Fishes, and we have 2 Sink or Swims, which can really spread out some exhausted creatures, right? We have the Sink or Swim here that is really, really good at exhausting up to 3 creatures potentially at a time. And then if you both of those, and then you do the Sleep with the Fishes, that would be like 6 creatures wiped out on your opponent's side. Pretty solid. So a lot of good ways of destroying creatures, which is great. And then for the efficiency, we have 3.5. I counted Trojan Sauropod as half because it's not something that I would typically play, right? Trojan Sauropod. It's that one where you give your opponent the artifact. They can use it on any turn to get 3 amber and let you play all of the creatures from your hand into play. Now, you could argue that would be great because you have sea urchins, right? Say you have a hand with the Sauropod and you have 2 sea urchins in your hand, and you have 2 of the Photic Raiders in your hand, one or the other even. You'd be like, oh, that'd be a great time to play the Sauropod. They might get a 3 amber, but I could steal it back. But the problem is, if you have a bunch of these good play effect creatures in your hand and you play the Sauropod, what if they wait a turn, right? Then on your next turn, they still have the Sauropod, you still have those creatures in your hand. Are you going to wait to play them again? What if they keep waiting? You're going to draw less cards, and you're going to be not as effective, right? So it's a question of kind of playing chicken. Do they go ahead and use the Sauropod, thinking maybe you don't have anything, or they could wait, right? But the problem is that the control is on them, right? They have control over whether or not they use it, which I kind of think is a big disadvantage to this card, right? So it might be worth a play. You may be able to get 1 extra creature out of it, but then again, they get half a key for it. So that's one thing to consider. And then we move on to the, so I counted this, I put as half for efficiency. So 3.5 efficiency is not terrible. Nothing that recurs cards from the discard pile or puts them into our archives. So, you know, we'll play through our deck one time at a time. And we have 4 for disruption, but disruption cards are crazy. Thalassophobia, discarding 10 cards from the top of our opponent's deck is pretty insane. Getting rid of some of their key combo pieces potentially. And we can do that every turn of our deck, which is great. But the problem with that too is they get back to some of their more powerful combo pieces too, right? So while they may not be able to use certain cards, they get other cards back faster. So that's the thing to keep in mind with that. And we have these sink or swims, which can be either creature control or disruption, which is very nice. You'll always use the best option at the time, so they count for both. So yeah, I mean, disruption is always good to have. So considering all these things, all the tools this deck has, how it's very disrupty, very steely, very steel-focused deck, it looks like, and creature control-y deck. I'm going to give this deck, the first deck of our Dark Tidings box, I'm going to give it a 75, I think. I'm going to lock that in. I think a 75 makes a lot of sense for this deck just because it has the creatures. It has the key cards that really make this deck exciting to me, right? Some exciting cards, like the Thalassophobia is pretty exciting. We got a lot of ways of disrupting our opponent's creatures, disrupting their whole play style. Really is very possible with this deck. And then, you know, taking that what is it, blatant thievery, putting a lot of. I mean, I think I misspoke during the video, during the opening, that I could use this on my own creature. But even though we can only use it on our opponent's creatures, we have ways of giving amber to our opponents. We could we could decadence them, exalt, or move an amber from a creature to another creature, put amber on them. There's other ways of doing that too, so we have plenty of options there. We are going to import the deck and go ahead and make your guesses now. Let's see what we got. 68, okay. So yeah, we're still getting used to appraising these Dark Tidings deck. We guessed a little high, 68. Let's see why that is. So we had 13 synergy, no anti-synergy, and 55 base arc. 17 for the amber control. We're losing a little bit from the Francis, because Francis gives amber to both people. And Magistra Vita Evil Twin was the one that, let's see. Magistra Vita Evil Twin, that was the one that you may exalt a friendly non-sorting creature. Okay, so that's the one that lets you exalt and fight with a creature, so that gives your opponent potential amber. So that then, you know, those things to be aware of. We have one thing, we have the ostracize taking away amber, that makes sense, but, you know, pretty solid amount of amber. Our speed is a lot lower than I expected, our efficiency here. The Sauropod's giving us some. The Sea Urchin Evil Twins are making us lose half a point in speed each, for some reason. The Sea Urchins. Okay, so I think it's because the tide is required. I think you'd always end up playing it on a tide by taking the tide. So when you do that, you always take chains, you know. So the taking of chains is kind of required with this card. You'd always want to steal 2 when you could capture 2, right? It's a 1-power creature that capture 2 is not going to matter at all. So that's kind of why they're counting that. I got to keep that in mind, you know, kind of evaluating whether a card is just useful for its high tide effect. Looking at disruption, we have 3.6 here. The brain drain, sink or swim, and ostracize are the high disruptors. It doesn't count the thalassophobia as a disruptor for some reason. Maybe that's a little bit of a glitch there, but yeah, so solid amount of that. Let's look at our synergies and anti-synergies. We have a 60% synergy. The Sea Urchin Evil Twin is great with things that raise the tide. We have a couple of those cards that raise the tide: Berry Riches, Reach Advantage, and Cement Shoes. We have a 60% synergy with Hookmaster. Raises the tide, things that raise the tide. Makes sense, makes sense. Looking at something else, we have 110 efficiency, Altruist Rostam. Moving amber is great with things that capture amber. So yeah, again, Sea Urchin, Reach Advantage, Abyssal Zealot, and Photic Raider are being great with that Altruist Rostam. We can constantly be capturing amber and moving it to our opponent's creatures. That's really, really good. We're losing some efficiency here with Berry Riches because we have ways of exalting the enemy, and we don't want to give our opponent more amber. So that's a little bit of anti-synergy. Let's see, looking down here, we have some positive synergy, 110%. with Decadence and things that capture Amber. Right. So yeah, anything that captures Amber, we giving our opponent more Amber, giving our opponent more potential Amber with Exalting. It's always good to have that. So looking at this, I think I for one thing, I didn't evaluate the efficiency correctly. That was my one mistake because I didn't look at the overall use case of the sea urchin is going to be always taking the tide unless you already have the tide. But in Dark Tidings versus Dark Tidings, you're kind of just both fighting for the tide every turn, from my experience. So you're probably going to have to take the tide, and oftentimes. So and that kind of factored into the efficiency cost of the sea urchin. Looking at that, and then also we have kind of a little bit more subtracted from the Amber control because of the Magistra Vita and the Francis. Got to count those. And yeah, I'm thinking. Oh, we had 19 creatures. I miscounted the creatures. So we had a few more creatures than I expected to. Don't worry, I'll get better at this. But, give me some feedback. What did you guys think? Did you get close to this, 68? Is that what you've guessed for this Dark Tidings deck? And what do you think of this format, this kind of just kind of talking about it format on the computer? Let me know what you think. If you have any feedback, I'd appreciate it. And if you like this video, leave a like. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.